Welcome to the Joyride podcast, where we explore the path to becoming your most authentic self. I'm your host, Rebecca Joy, a self-development coach, human design expert, spiritual enthusiast, and motivational speaker who's absolutely obsessed with personal growth and transformation. On this podcast, I'll be sharing my own journey and insights to help you activate your power, amplify your confidence, and become the most magnetic version of yourself. Each episode delivers actionable strategies, powerful energy shifts, and spiritual wisdom that you can immediately apply to break through any limitations and create lasting change. Whether you're seeking deeper self-understanding, professional growth, or spiritual connection, the Joyride gives you the tools to transform your potential into your new abundant reality. Welcome to the Joyride. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Joyride podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Joy, and I'm so excited for today's episode. I have with me my dear friend and mentor, Nicole. Who is Sean, and where do I even begin with her? She is just truly such an angel, and just my medicine. Every time I'm with her, she tells me exactly what I need to hear. And it's like every time that we're chatting, we're connecting, we're together, I'm like, how did you just give me exactly what I needed? But I didn't even know that I needed that. So I am so excited to have her here on the podcast. I have been connected with Sean for a few years now. She has been on this podcast before, and we shared all about just our first connection together. She read my human design chart a few years ago, and the episode is just jam-packed full of wisdom. And every time that I record a podcast episode with her, it kind of turns into a self-coaching call, because she just is such a true coach. I mean, there's a part in this episode where I'm like, Sean, you're just such a good coach. And I am truly just so grateful that I have her in my corner. I'm so grateful for the connection that we have. And in this episode specifically, I wanted for us to talk about just kind of the struggles that no one really talks about when it comes to entrepreneurship. But as you will hear in this episode, the way that Sean just has the ability to make light out of every situation, you can really tell that this woman is so connected to herself and so connected to her soul, and she really does speak from the heart. And every time that I'm in her aura, I'm just reminded of doing things in the most loving way. And as someone that can be very critical of themselves, there's something about Sean that whenever I'm with her, she just allows me to become a softer version of myself, which is obviously my true essence and my true nature. And I think any woman, especially when you are an entrepreneurial woman, we can just easily revert to being in our masculine and just almost have our defenses up in a sense. But she has just taught me so much about connecting to my soul, connecting to my authentic self, and I just cannot wait for her to share all of her light and wisdom in this episode, and for her to talk about her new session, which is called the Essence Session. I will leave some notes about the session in the show notes down below, but I had this session with her at the end of January, and it could not have come at a better time. It was basically, she read my soul's energy, and she'll explain more in this episode, but to me it was very much so like a psychic reading, but it was not scary at all. And I really was able to step away from this session, and I had to sit with myself and be like, okay, what am I going to do with all this information, and where am I going to go from here? And the thing that I love about Sean is whenever I'm with her, she challenges me in the best way. And I just think that that's what truly sets apart the good healers from the great and extraordinary healers. It's like, you don't want to work with someone and you don't want to come to someone for insight and advice. It's just going to tell you what you want to hear. It's like, that's what your fucking friends are for, right? Like, that's what your partner's for. But like, to me, it's so important, especially as a coach myself and as a practitioner. It's like, I am always going to be honest and truthful with you, but I also want to make sure that I'm articulating that information in the most loving way, because we're already our harshest critic, like, we're already so tough on ourselves. So anyways, I don't want to end up rambling here, but Sean is truly just so incredible, and my life continues to change because she's in it. Truly, it's like every time that I'm with her and we have a session, my life just takes a huge pivot in the best way, and I'm just so grateful for her to be sharing her wisdom and her light with you all. I really, really hope that you all book a session with her or reach out to her. She is just truly, like, I'm just so grateful that she is in my space and in my world, and I would not be here doing what I'm doing without her. So with that, enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much, and enjoy the joyride.
It's always a vibe. We're always vibing.
Yes.
Yes.
We're always vibing. Well, I feel like this is such a good place to start. Sean, welcome back to the Joyride podcast. I mean, how do I even start? I just love you, and I'm so happy to have you back.
I am so happy to be here. It's funny because when you were in a class I taught this summer, and I did not know until that class that I was like your first kind of human design person. And it was like, it really touched me when you were like, no, you read my chart. And then I got interested in human design. And yeah, I feel like our journeys have been feels very like full circle that we've stayed in touch this whole time. And yeah, I'm just super happy to be here. Your
Totally.
presence makes me so happy.
Oh, likewise. I mean, so many people in my close inner circle know how deeply you have changed my life. And obviously I've shared about you in episodes that you haven't been on, but you really, you completely changed everything about my life. And of course, it's you, but it's also just the way that timing works and the way that the universe works. I mean, me finding out about human design, coming to the website, just like picking a random reader, and it so happened to be you. And because of that one session, I'm like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is why I am who I am. And every time that I meet with you, and we'll touch upon this session that we had together about a month ago, but every time I meet with you or I'm just in your presence, like, the thing that I love about you the most is you make me, after I'm with you, I step back and I really think, and I'm like, because like, I think you challenge me in the best way. Like, you truly challenge me to grow. And I didn't realize this before our last time together, but it's because you really see what my soul wants. And we'll get into this, like the soul versus the ego. But like, I love a leader, I love a healer, and a teacher that challenges you in your own beliefs, because every time that I'm with you, my life just takes like the best turn, but a turn, like a real turn.
I love that. Yeah, and I mean, I have mentors in the space too, and I think that the best, like, people really love us when they do challenge us. I actually think that's true for the most important relationships in our life, be it like friends, romantic partners. I think it obviously is not our ego's preference if someone's like coming at us, but like the right relationships in our lives, I really believe will challenge us to be better, because that's how we grow. We're not going to grow if someone's like, whatever you say, yes. Whatever you think, yes. Like, that's not a relationship that's going to help us evolve.
Totally. It's something that I know that I have not necessarily struggled with, but it has truly challenged me in my own practice and working with clients, because a lot of times my Mercury's in Libra, I'm like, I kind of want to just make them feel like yes, 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 but I also know that I wouldn't be doing my job. Not to say that everything doesn't need to be in agreement, but like, there's a time and a place when to challenge someone. And I think what I've realized about you especially, and just following along your journey beyond working together and being, in a session or in a space with you, is you are so deeply aligned with who you are and how you live your life. And I love that so much, and I'm so gravitated towards it. But I love it especially because I think that we are so different. Like in the life that we lead, like you're such a wanderlust and like a mermaid and an ocean girl, and you're like in Costa Rica. And I have, not to say that I don't love to travel, but I'm just so not like that. Like I don't want to live your life, but I love you because it's so true to you. And just viewing that perspective in my own life, I'm like, I know that people come to me, like I can sense the ones that want to be me, you know?
Yeah.
You know those clients that are like, I want to be just like you. And I'm like, but I don't want you to be like me because you're not supposed to be like me. You're supposed to be like you. And I want to live so truthfully in my light and shine that hopefully I'm empowering you and inspiring you to do the same. So that's what you do for me.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I think that's almost like a potentially like an upgraded perspective on the concept of the expander, right? Because I think old, like maybe if we're coming at an expander, like I want to be just like them versus like, wow, they embody something that I really want for myself, whether that's like they're really true to themselves or they're so free in their energy. So I think that's really cool because yeah, like we are not meant to be like anybody else, obviously. Like I always say, like nature doesn't repeat itself. So why would we expect that we're going to find who we are in somebody else? We're not. Like they can be mirrors, they can show us parts of self that we maybe want to step into. But it's such a slippery slope when we like want to be anyone but ourselves, you know, because like we are us at the end of the day. At the
Totally.
end of life.
Yeah. And you like, yeah, I mean, it's something that has triggered me for my whole life. Not really now, because I've let that trigger go, but growing up in middle school and in high school, there were so many girls that I was friends with that would copy me. And would rub me the wrong way because I was so wise and so intelligent back then, but I didn't know how to, I guess, quantify it. I didn't really know, like, well, what's an intuition and listening to myself, but I knew how connected I was all the way back then before I even knew. And I would just get so pissed off. I'm like, stop trying to be me because you're never going to be me. Just be you. And it just, ugh, it like, it's
Yeah,
a
but
weird
it's kind
feeling.
of interesting, Rebecca, that you ended up being an empowerment coach. You know what I mean? So it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like the story. Obviously, our lives and our souls are so wise that our life story is always like guiding us to, you know, where we're meant to go. But that is kind of, it's fascinating. I did not know that was like your middle school and high school experience, but it's kind of like, okay, it's almost maybe a way that you kind of bait them. Like you're like, yeah, come in because I know you want to be like me, but I'm going to show you that what you really want is to be you. And what you want that I have is just maybe confidence, the freedom to be myself. So it's kind of cool that you ended up in the space that you did based off of like your past, you know?
Totally. I mean, it's one of my gifts in human design. It's probably one of the gifts that like really struck a chord with me when you went over my chart with me. And now, I mean that I feel like that is one of my greatest skills when it comes to, I guess, quote unquote marketing. It's like kind of baiting them in and saying like, yeah, my body's fucking amazing and like I'm so confident in all this stuff, but when you're actually in the space with me, I'm like, babe, it's not about me. Like, you came in because you wanted the things that I have, but I'm just mirroring back to you what you have as well. So,
Exactly. Yeah. I'm actually want to pull up your chart because I want to, it's been a while since I looked. But yeah, I think it's, you know, we both work in this, you know, in the personal development, spirituality space. And I think, you know, you got to play the game sometimes, and marketing is a bit like that. You know, it's like draw them in, and then they get in the session, and you're like, haha,
ha
we're
ha
going to
ha.
actually talk about
Yeah.
this, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny, one of my good friends here teaches yoga, and she always jokes that she wants people to come to class and shut the door and be like, just kidding, today we're twerking. And I'm like, it's kind of like it's, you people get into your session, you think I'm going to tell you everything that you want to hear, but you were wrong, you know? Or for me, it's like you think I'm going to predict your future, and I'm not. I'm going to do something else. So I totally understand. That's how you have to get them in, and then you can work your magic. Okay,
Totally.
so you're talking the 27 to the 50.
2750, yeah, but also I think the 60/30 or 63.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally see how you do that for people. And then your Sungate.
47.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
that 22. That's my girl, that performer. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. Okay. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah. For people who are like, what the fuck is going on? We're talking about gifts in the human design chart. So a little bit of a backtrack. I'll obviously include this in the intro, but I first got my human design chart read by Sean, I want to say maybe like 3.5 years ago. It feels like what was my life before human
In your
design and
past life,
before,
yeah.
yeah, like in a past life basically. But we have stayed connected. We just love and support one another so much. She's a mentor of mine. She's a friend. She just is so incredible. And why I wanted to bring her back on the podcast today is because she just launched such an incredible session. What I feel like is truly maybe your bread and butter. Like, I think it might be your thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot about like our entrepreneurial journeys and struggles, and just we were just chatting before, and what we really want to get into is like the hard shit that no one is talking about, because being an entrepreneur, as beautiful and fulfilling and gratifying as it is, this shit is rough. Like, it's hard. So we're going to get into all of it.
Yes, yes. And yeah, happy to be here. Can't wait to dive in.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think like, where do we begin? I mean, I want people to go listen to your podcast, because you give us like so much when it comes to your entrepreneurial journey and just the hurdles and everything that you have gone through. But something that really stuck out to me in our last session was, and something that I've been thinking about constantly, is just this idea of, okay, I know that I'm meant to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing. Like, there's no way in hell that I'm meant to be working a 9-to-5 job. But there also have been so many times where it feels very forceful and just very heavy and very hard. And when I was listening to your podcast episode, when you were talking about building the like fashion company, like the sustainable fashion brand, you just had to shut it down because you were like, my body was just rejecting it and it felt so heavy and so hard. So I mean, I would love to hear a little bit more about that, and like, how can we tell between, okay, yes, I'm meant to be doing my own thing and following my passions and my purpose, but when does it become too much for me to handle? Because I also feel like I'm in a space right now, and we'll get into this, like, I'm navigating, okay, how much of myself and my time and energy am I dedicating to my baby, which is my business, because also what my soul is longing for is like everything else besides business, basically. So
Yeah, and the body, of course, is such a wise creature, and I think that what inspired me about our conversation is like I think we have this idea that if something's meant for us, it's going to be easy, and I don't necessarily believe that, because if we look at the soul from like a zoomed out perspective, which is pretty much what I do as a intuitive, the soul is not like business, relationships. Like, the soul just wants you to like be your whole, full, like most complete, like true self. And oftentimes it is difficulty and challenge that gives us the most incredible experiences. Like, we can grow through joy, and I really believe that we can grow through joy. We will grow through joy our whole lives, but there's just something about a hard time, a fork in the road, that creates a lot of just grit and wisdom and resilience. So we have to be honest with ourselves about when something is not aligned for us anymore, when we need a break, because it's not going to be like, okay, my body's tired every day. That means that I'm not like, or I'm feeling like I'm forcing things in my business. And also, I think what's different for both of us in the personal development space is like, there's a million ways to get to Rome. Yeah, that's true with the clothing line, but either way, I needed to raise capital. Like, there were just certain elements that just like were the facts of that type of business. Versus, I actually think what's really cool and unique about online business is like, maybe it's not the offering that's off, it's the way you're trying to sell it. And there's just so much you can work with your body as the compass. Also knowing that like, yeah, it's still going to be hard. There's going to be days where you're like, okay, that totally bombed. Because also as a business owner, when you bomb, that's how you learn and how you get better, you know? So you can't see it as like this launch failed, guess I need to go be a lawyer. You have to be like, okay, this launch failed. What did I learn? What didn't work? So we're always like using our bodies for feedback, but knowing that unless we really feel like our hearts are like, what are you doing? Then we just know that the challenge is here to make us stronger. Does that answer the question?
Totally. I mean, I have so many questions and so many statements to come, but I want to know personally, what have been like the true telling signs that you are doing what you are supposed to be doing? Is it like, do you feel like time stops? Do you feel so excited? Do you feel so joyful? Do you feel so light? Like, and has it maybe shifted over time for you?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question. And I mean, when we met and I was reading human design charts, I'd say the first thing was that I just fucking loved it. Like it was just like a party. It felt really how to describe this? It was very almost hard to accept and receive, like so much joy. Like I would sit down and I also started to read human design. It was actually the summer of 2020, so it was like pandemic times, right? And so the best time of my life was actually doing what was then it was my work, and it felt very disorienting because that was such a different story from like everyone in my lineage. And I think a lot of people become entrepreneurs because they're actually just trying to rewrite the stories that we don't like anymore. Like I always say, I don't want my kids to see their mom being miserable, making the money that they like. I just was like, I don't want my kids to grow up around that. So I felt really excited for human design. It was like, this is like the joy of my life. And I think now it's still such a joy, but I think another thing is that it's almost like my soul won't let me choose anything else, because yes, it brings me joy, and I also really see how it is such a way that I'm so talented. And I do think it's important when coming on this call. Of course, it feels beautiful to hear someone be like, wow, you really changed me. But as healers and practitioners, we have to know that the medicine is really not about us. Otherwise, like our egos get involved. And I think that's why we see so many like spiritual teachers and yogis like kind of go off the deep end, because their egos are really get attached. And so I try to see it now as my energy loves it. For me, I liken myself like a spiritual scientist. Like I actually have a very strong analytical mind. I love to question things, and I'm like a super mentally hungry person, but spirituality is mentally fascinating. Like I get so excited if I get up there and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on there? It's just like, it makes me really happy that this work that I have fulfills so many of my like deeper needs, which is like to challenge myself, to grow, to feel mentally challenged, to feel spiritually challenged, to feel personally challenged. You know, you have to like learn how to engage with your client. Like it's like an endless playground. So that's how I know my energy really enjoys it, and I get good feedback. And it's almost, even if I try to go left, the universe is like, nope, and I'm like, okay. Like I've tried to throw in the towel, I joke, like multiple times, and it never works because it's just like what I'm meant to be doing. So yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback from the external, and yeah, it really feels so true to me at this time in my life.
So it sounds like you really are so connected to the feelings that the work gives you. Have you ever got caught up in the amount of money that you're making, the amount of exposure that you're getting, the accolades? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that I've definitely gotten a bit. I feel that my preoccupation around, it's never been like money has been the most important thing in my work, because I love the experience of like being with clients. And so oftentimes, I don't know if you ever felt this way in online business, the pressure is like passive offerings that scale, which yes, of course, we all want to get there at some point, just purely for like the amount of energy that we can exert and the amount of people we can hold in a container. There's limitations. So I think because I have a competitive side, and also because I think my downfall is when I like compare myself to my friends who are on corporate paths and things like that, I can start to get a little bit in my head about like what I need things to look like. But you know, we'll see what happens with this new session and the kind of the branding that I feel more passionately about. I haven't really gotten a bunch of exposure in the space, and I think I would have been way too what's the word, spiritually immature to get the exposure, because I think then I would have been like straight to my ego. And now I've been humbled in a way that I really would wish no one else to ever get humbled, that I feel like nothing could really go to my ego anymore. Like literally, like Oprah could be like, I want you to come on. And I'd be like, it's just for the people, Oprah. Like, blur me out. Like, I just don't care anymore. And I think that feels really freeing. So you have to catch yourself though. Like and now I'm in a phase of my business where I run everything by my heart first, because my mind immediately will be like, how can we make the money? And that is important. But the most important thing is like, do you love this? Because if you don't have the sustainability energetically for something you don't love, which if I would be like, Rebecca, you can make millions of dollars talking to people about how they can strengthen their glutes, like, which maybe you could be passionate about, but you're going to be like, okay, but then what? Right? Then I'm stuck talking about glutes all day long. And what I really want to do is talk about, whatever it is. So yes, I have to check myself. I've gotten better at checking myself. And now I feel like I'm at a point in my life, in my work, where I'm like not trying to let that be more important than me, which you're kind of saying to the universe, money is more important than me. Than my energy, than my joy. That's what it means to sell your soul, right?
Yeah.
It's saying like, I choose this over like me, and I'm unavailable to do that anymore. Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, it is just like, it's always so crazy how whenever I'm in your energy, it's just like you are such a true light, true essence, but you're just like such a damn good coach. Like you just are. And I know that you're like, here for the people, but I'm like, Sean, you're so good at it. And it's like everything that you're saying, I see it and I feel it, and it just matches. Like, it's so synergistic, which I think is what we all want as practitioners. I mean, I have learned so much from you, whether that's, following your stories and you talking about your thoughts, or sharing on Instagram, or being in a session with you. Like, I think you really constantly lead me back to my heart and my soul, which it can just be so easy to get so fucking caught up in like the money opportunity. And I know for me, like, why I love human design and astrology so much is because I'm very much so similar in the sense where like I gravitated towards human design because I wanted to know why. Like, I wanted the receipts. Like, my Gemini moon is so thirsty and so curious for information. And I've just learned so much about myself, and something that has come up for me in the past, I want to say like 3 months, is my like this like thirst for recognition. I mean, you brought it up in my like soul session. Basically, you were like, you want fame. And it was just like it was so nice to hear that, because I've always known that like I need recognition, but I also, it's like, it's not coming from like a money hungry place. I'm just like, this is what my soul actually needs. But I think if we only think about the money, I saw this video on LinkedIn the other day, and it was like a guy interviewing another guy, and he basically asked him, you could either have like $20 billion, like you either have that much money or you can't live another day. Like, which one would you take? And he was like, obviously I would take the option of living another day, and I wouldn't take the money. And he's like, everyone would answer that question the same way. Like, I don't think anyone would choose, yeah, give me the $20 billion or whatever it is, but today was your last day on earth.
No way. Yeah. And it's cool that I forgot I said that in the Essence session, but it's true. It's like, I think what's beautiful about knowing your soul is like fame from like a soul desire is kind of, it's more like, this is just my path. Mm-hmm. Right? And with that is going to come the life that I want, right? Like, and even, I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, and he wrote this blog post about becoming famous, that he was like, I need to become famous by, I think he said 30. And I think he wrote the 4-Hour Workweek when he was 29. But then he wrote this post where he was like, shit, y'all, when you're famous, like when you have 1 million people in your audience, there's a way more likely chance that 2,000 of them are psychos, right? So he's like, fame comes with its stuff, but you have to know that when your soul really wants that, you want that whole life, and you're going to be ready for it. So I think what's interesting is like, we glorify fame and we glorify wealth, which, for some people, That's their path. That's going to get there. I really believe that, we should create a universe where everybody has their basic needs met, of course. But I think what happens when we put our egos first is then we end up in these lives and we don't even want them, right? Because I'm like, there are so many people. I mean, Tony Heish, he was like the CEO of Zappos. I think he was beyond a billionaire. He was super rich. Like he ended up, like, we know the story of like the super rich guy. He ended up dying of an overdose. Like we have enough examples of like the money, like that, even that quantity of money is like incomprehensible to most people. And it's like we can glorify that, but it's like, what is the life that actually comes with that? So you know that when your soul wants that, you're also ready for that life. And I think that's important, that you can be like, yes, I want recognition. Yes, it's not for my ego. And your soul will get you there as you're ready for that life, because that's just a different life. That's something that your soul is going to prep you for as it evolves and gets you to that final destination. It's never final, but yeah, just that's how I see it.
Yeah, totally. Something that's coming through for me is something that you said, I think when I attended that class of yours in the summer, or maybe it wasn't the summer. It was like well over a year ago. It was like career, soul, something with the soul. Of course,
Yeah.
had to do something with the soul. But you talked about being like a soulful practitioner or a spiritual practitioner. And I love that my strongest gift in human design is 47, the gift of revelation, because I'm constantly just like, like, oh my gosh, the revelations and the reflections, like, my whole life is changing as I hear, information come through. And it really allowed me to stop and take a look at myself and really like just create a new perspective around myself and business. And I would love to hear your perspective on this, because I can very confidently say, like, I don't care about business. I've never cared about business, but because of my past ventures and because of, trauma and the way that I was brought up, and like my parents are such incredible entrepreneurs, I think I kind of like gaslighted myself into thinking like, oh, business, entrepreneur. But like, to me, it's like, I've always known that I've just wanted to follow my gifts, and I've always just wanted to express myself. And within expressing myself, I have learned what I'm gifted in, what I'm talented in, what I'm here to do. And that is how my purpose, not my full spectrum of a purpose, but my career purpose has really shined through. But it was so like humbling to hear you say that, because I never truly felt like I'm not here for business. Like, there are so many skills that I'm now finally, thank God, getting help in from other people and outsourcing, because I'm like, I can't keep on doing things the way that I'm doing them, because I need to be where I need to be. And that's in the gift, in the skill, and in the light, so that I can give that light to other people. It's not in like the marketing and all these other things. And I just love how you talk about marketing and business and all these things, because I know that you're so connected to like the core of the business.
Yeah, and I think what's unique, what type of business do your parents have?
Oh my gosh. So my dad is like, just when I think about a businessman or like a salesman, that's him. Like, the guy can sell anything. He's had so many different businesses over the years, like door to door. He was in a few different types of companies where he was like the platinum level elite, like just in real estate. I mean, the guy can sell anything. He loves business and he loves making money.
Yeah. And what is for me fascinating about kind of this, because if we look at like the world as a whole, the space that we're in is relatively new, right? Like, of course, we had like Tony Robbins, like selling tapes, like we have these like, and books, right? Like Napoleon Hill, like, if you read really old school personal development books, they exist, right? But the space we're in now is sort of like a newer industry, or it's taking its like shape in a way that is enabled by technology. And what's different about our line of business is that we are the practitioners, right? So it like thinking about someone who wanted to sell clothes, that's so different. Like, if I'm selling you this dress that I made or designed, that I manufactured but someone else made, that's so different than me selling you a coaching package. And so it creates this like different business where you are the person who delivers the product, And then in and of itself, there's more sensitivity, there's more fear, there's more like, it's just, it's so different, right? It's like we're not selling shoes, right? We're selling like our hearts and souls and like stuff that we've created from like the depths of our truth. So it is inherently a bit more vulnerable and scary. But I think that what has helped me more than anything, and I have a business coach I've been working with for a long time, and we work on lots of things. She's just like my spirit mom. And she really helped me see that what I needed to create more growth in my business was to actually just start to see it as a business. Sure, I sell the products and I'm the practitioner, but at the end of the day, it is a business. And I love business because to me, in and of itself, it's incredibly fascinating. And when I'm not really personal and like all emotional and like, you know, like sad, sensitive girl, it fascinates me to figure out how I can, you know, spread my message. But you need to know yourself. And I think what you've learned is to say, okay, I'm not going to pretend that I mean, what is it, The Big Leap, where he's like, don't do what you're good at, do what you're great at. So what you're saying is, I'm great at this, let's not fuck around. And I think that's a really smart business choice to make. And you have to follow that. And if you're a budding entrepreneur who maybe doesn't want to put in the investment or doesn't have the financial resources to really do that, I would say try to self-fund, like get a job so you can do that. Or if it interests you, you can learn those business skills. Like I think my shock has been, I don't come from entrepreneurs. I studied environmental science. I was like, businesses destroy the planet. And I actually just love business, but I have to, so I feel like it's worth it to grow those skills versus you've been like, you know what, I've been around it, I've seen it, it's not my cup of tea, I'll learn what I need to, but let me be the star and let me outsource. And there's really no wrong way to do it. It's just knowing yourself well enough that you're not trying to be what is like really inauthentic for you, right?
Totally. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of having these conversations, and goes back to why I just love you so much, is because we do differ in so many ways, but we're also so similar in so many ways. And something that I now truly love about myself, and I can see how much I've grown in, is old Rebecca would hear you say something like that, and then I would walk away from this podcast and convince myself, okay, Sean's telling me that I now need to go out and develop all these skills, because I was so just like not confident enough in what I was doing. Not to say that I disagree with what everyone's telling me about business, but like to be able to sit here and say like, that's great advice, because I would give the same advice to that budding entrepreneur that's just getting into the space. They're like, okay, I've created my passion project or my side hobby or whatever it is, and I now want to turn it into a business. I mean, for 2 years, I was kind of doing everything, but I knew, it's like the man Jen in me, I knew 6 months in, I was like, fuck. Like, I just want to be the star. I know how deeply sensitive and emotional I am, being a Cancer rising. Like, I need so much time offline. And now, being 2 years in, I can confidently say, like, yeah, I'm willing and ready and able to outsource the things that I don't give a shit about, but I know that I need, because I'm smart enough and intelligent enough to know, like, okay, this is a business. And if I want my business to go where I know it can go, then I'm going to solely focus on the things that I want to be doing and creating, and letting the people that are so good at what they do what they do. And I think, like, for me, it all comes back to truly, like, the foundational message of human design, right? It's like, we're here to teach other people, like, focus on your light, focus on your strengths, and the things that you're just not as good at, or the things that truly don't interest you, there are other people out there for.
Totally. And I'm glad that you're able to be like, okay, I know that for me, my path is to do what I'm doing now, and like outsourcing what I am not like inspired to learn about. You know what I mean? Like I don't give a shit, right? So
Yeah.
that in and of we know as gens and man gens, like let's not drain the sacral, right? So it's like, if it's not bringing you that light, like outsource it. And I also think that we can kind of get a bit, I don't know if you do, I do this where I'm like, well, no one can do it like me. And I'm like, facts, Sean, they're going to do it better because it's what they actually do, right?
Yep.
So I'm over here like, no one's going to understand like my messaging like I can. Meanwhile, you meet with a messaging expert that actually makes no sense what you're saying. And you're like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's so smart. And also what I love to do is think about business as like an entity, and it is so important to know that you're investing in something that is going to be like a legacy business, right? So it's like, okay, if I was making, because I love business, I read a lot of books about businesses and entrepreneurship, and there's a woman who started the cacao company that I purchased from. They're a nonprofit, but she had previously like a dessert hummus company. She got an offer on Shark Tank, turned it down, but basically talks about like how much investment goes into a food product. Like she's like, so much money, and it's obviously different because she's making a product. But I think in our own businesses we get weird. We're like, no, I shouldn't spend $600 on a web developer because, and I'm like, why not? If you were making a business for somebody else, that'd be the best money you ever spent. It's like, because it's so personal, it's almost harder to invest, but I think it's super smart. It's like, yeah, this is like your baby. And when she's a full grown adult going to Harvard, making bank, you're going to be like, that was the best money I ever spent. So I think it's really, really amazing that you're doing that. And it's going to help you just like be the genius, which is what every business needs, is their person to be the genius.
Totally. I mean, and you have truly helped me to see that. I mean, from our last session together and, everything that we talked about, I have taken in so much advice from people over the years, but a lot of it, goes in one ear and out the other, as it should.
Yeah.
Like, we get to decide what resonates with us, what sticks. And I've been seeing, a lot of people talk about outsourcing all of the personal things. And I think really meeting with you and understanding like what my soul wants and what my soul needs allowed me to completely flip the script and say, actually, I really enjoy the feeling that I get after I clean my house for 2 hours, the satisfaction that I feel. I love going to the grocery store. I love spending an hour and a half or 2 hours in the gym. Like, I love investing in myself. What I don't love is a lot of the business stuff that I just can't fucking get, but like meeting with you and like, again, just everything that I've taken away from you and your work, it's like, again, just has helped me so much lean into what my soul really wants and not feel bad about that. Because just like what you said, like, we're selling ourselves. Like, I'm not selling this red tank top, I'm selling Rebecca. So like everything is all in the same universe. I can't compartmentalize them, and I'm not supposed to. So I'm like, okay, if I really want to take my time to invest in Rebecca, then it's okay for me to, outsource and get some like social media help or marketing help or whatever that is and not feel bad about it.
Totally. Yeah, and I think it's cool, like, when you sit down at the end of the day with your soul, it's like, what does Rebecca want? And it's like, yeah, Rebecca wants to go to Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and make a yummy meal. So why would I pretend I don't? I think it's like we build lives of freedom so we can spend our time doing what we want. So why would we then be like, I'm going to just decide that I'm going to spend all my time within my business doing all the stuff I don't want to do? I mean, no way. So I think it's like, it's really cool that you're able to kind of tune out the voices that, don't know you, which is like 99% of information we receive that's not coming from someone who actually even knows who we are. So like, why do we take it so seriously,
Yeah, I met with, someone who used to be like such a huge influence in my life. He's great. I just don't work with him any longer, but I remember him telling me, and this like really eased my Gemini moon because I just like love information so much. He's like, Rebecca, all that you're doing is just intaking information. That's all that it is. It's just you're intaking information. And once he told me that, I was like, oh, because then you can separate from taking everything so damn personally, or like, oh, this is against me, or this is an attack. It's like, this is just information, and you get to choose what you take in, and you get to choose what you filter out. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And yep, the internet's a scary place, especially for people who are easily swayed. So make
yeah,
sure you put your like, I know who I am in the world hat on before you go out there,
totally.
because it's true. It's like we're just intaking information like all day long.
Yeah, well, it's something that I tell a lot of clients, especially when they have so many, open centers in their human design. I'm like, let's make sure that we're acting as a screen and not always a sponge, because it's just so easy to just like absorb every single thing there is out there. And something that I'm always preaching to my clients is like, even take what I say with a grain of salt. Like, at the end of the day, I don't know you like you know you. You are allowed to have your own perspectives and opinions, and like, I'm just sharing mine. It's really
Yeah. And you got that open crown and that open ajna. So I was like, yep, she's got to be a screen and not a sponge
good.
mentally.
Yeah, totally.
So I get that. That's good advice.
I want to, of course, talk about, your new session, but I first want to just talk about entrepreneurship, and I would love to hear, some of maybe like your biggest hurdles or your biggest struggles that you have come across in
Mm.
entrepreneurship to get yourself to where you are now, because God, I have just so many.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, hurdles, life. I would say, I mean, it's interesting, like, even knowing now, like, your parents are business owners, as I was explaining, like, I don't have entrepreneurs in my lineage, so it's not something I grew up around. And I think the biggest hurdle for me has just been learning how to, I mean, have a product that I really like, that I know how to explain, and like I know how to market, because good business owners know how to make their business about the customer. But then I think when we also are in it for our own joy and our own souls, we can't just sell something because a customer wants it. Like, we have to also like it. But then again, I'm like, we can sell, some random. Actually, one of my friends here, we keep giving her shit. Like, this woman's like, I want you to come on and design the label. I'm making this candy bar. It's going to be called Frank. And we're like, terrible idea. Like, no one wants that. But you have to, like, know that people want your product, and you have to be good at telling them, like, why they need it. And I think sometimes, because I'm so intuitive and you're so intuitive, I'm like, they'll just know. And it's like, yeah, but oftentimes, like, especially as me, like, I teach intuition. My client isn't that intuitive yet. That's why they want to work with me. So I can't be like, oh yeah, they're going to feel in their hearts that I'm the one for them, right? And there might be people that are like that, like you might have been like, oh, I saw Sean and just knew I wanted to work with her. But remember, like, I guess my trajectory was so different because I had this really big affiliation with Jenna Zoe. So people already were willing to give me their money, and most entrepreneurs don't have a leg up like that. Like, if people are coming to your profile and they don't even know who you are, you have to take that customer on a journey. So I think the hardest thing for me has been like, okay, how do I just learn to be a good communicator because I love my customer? And that is hard sometimes because we are immersed in our work. We know what we're good at. So we just want to be like, this session is sick. Like, come sit down with me. But that's marketing shows us how we can get the customer to be like, now I know why I need to sit with Sean. And that has been hard for me. That is still hard for me. It's just like, it's something that, it's not a natural skill of mine. So I'm just learning at getting better at it because I want to, because that genuine desire is there for me. But yeah, that's been the biggest hurdle for me.
And last time that we met, we both talked about, our little part-time jobs, and you were like, babe, I was selling French fries, or like whatever, your whole like restaurant story. Like, I would love to know, have there been, because I've taken on many jobs that I haven't necessarily talked about, and a lot of them were rooted in shame and guilt. And like, I was legit scared to tell people, like, oh, I'm not at the point yet where I'm doing this full time. And so like, I have to do these side things. So I would love to know, like, have there been moments where you've had to take upon another job to support yourself, or you felt like, is it time to throw in the towel because like I'm just not making enough,
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, that has happened to me like a shit ton of times. And I think that what is interesting is there's this article, it's written by the guy who founded the Y Combinator, which is like this big startup incubator out of San Francisco. And he has this article, it's called How to Do What You Love. And he's like, you know that you love it if you're willing to wait tables so you can do it. And that article has like never left me because, some of us, what we love is a more direct path to profit. Like, if you're passionate about and I love Michael Singer, so The Surrender Experiment. I don't know if you've read it, but he talks about the first time he wrote code. He was like, it was like a symphony in my soul. I'm like, shit, I wish my soul would have chosen something like being a software engineer, but it didn't at all, right? So if you love something that's a direct path to profit, like, live it up, live your life. But if you're an entrepreneur, I think that like you have to know that you're putting a lot of pressure on your work if you're immediately like please provide for me. Like, okay, it's why I think it's so important to either have like almost like a ramp up. Like, I think it's so cool, and what's given me so much permission to talk about all these experiences. Like, I'm a mentor of yours, and I'm like, yeah, babe, I was like I made a fake resume so I could be a waitress for 6 months. And that doesn't make you feel like my work is any less valid. If anything, that makes you have more respect for me, because you're like, well, damn, Sean was really willing to like get into like whatever for her work. And I think we as practitioners feel like we have to be perfect, or of course, like, you should be really good at what you're selling, but like, there's so much trust that's created when we're able to be vulnerable. So I think opening up about yourself and those stories creates just such a beautiful, it makes people feel so seen, because like you and I have both been in that position. And yeah, when I first started doing human design, I was a personal assistant. What else have I done? I did work at a retail store. Actually, my first job was in high school at Urban Outfitters, and I like actually kind of love retail, but I got a job at a restaurant because I was living in Hawaii, and honestly, the money just was like so. I mean, I don't like to say it's so good anymore, because my soul is like, okay, your soul work is like way more profitable, and it is. Yeah. But it allowed me to just make more money than I would make from like a typical job in Hawaii. So I did that for a while, and I reached a point too when I made this move to Costa Rica, which actually Costa Rica is, most people don't know this, is not an inexpensive place to live. It's actually just as much as living in the States, if not more in some ways. And I was nervous to come here because I knew it was going to take the opportunity to get a job in person off the table, and that made me feel safe on Hawaii, that if something happened, there was lots of opportunities for work there, especially like in Hawaii, the island I lived on. It was like, it just was an easy place to find something if you needed it, but I realized that was out of fear. So when I moved here, I was like, but I told God, and I tell God this all the time, I'm like, I would do anything to make my business work. I would go teach English, which I taught English online when I was living in Colombia and like making no money. I taught private English lessons online. Like, I will do whatever. And I still feel that way. Like, I'm like, if something were to happen and, things change or shift in my work, I have no fear around, or no shame actually around doing other types of work to support my work, because I just think it's a really beautiful thing. It just shows like your dedication and your passion and your devotion, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I would do anything for my business, and I feel that way about anything in my life that I'm devoted to. So I've definitely been there. I have no shame. I now am like, I need this to enhance my energy rather than drain it, because we also know as entrepreneurs that like our energy is our gold. So if we're like, that was the same thing after the restaurant. I was like, coming home super tired, and like, it was too much of a drain. Sorry, I just saw my mic, but I now am like, I need to put my energy first. And so I'm not going to do something that's like a 3 out of 10, like no way in hell, but I know that I can trust my soul enough that if I need to get another job, I can find something that's like a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10. And I just think it's the grit, it shows how important your work is to you. So I think it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Oh, I just love you. I mean, every time I'm with you, it's just like, it truly is, it's medicine for my soul, and it reminds me of how much I'm a Virgo, honestly, and just like how critical I am of myself, and just hearing you talk about just your work, and you're like, of course I would do anything for it. Like, of course. Because I've learned to have that perspective, but before, especially when I first launched my business, I mean, I've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast, but like, was like, guys, I came into this with no marketing plan, no business plan, no nothing. I was just like, I've just been throwing shit at the wall for the past 2 years, but I've had to take up, side jobs here and there, but it always comes back to, I'm doing it out of fear. I'm not doing it out of like, no, I know that I'm not supposed to be here, but I also do believe that we learn so much about ourselves by doing things that we maybe don't want to do, or like
really
just don't vibe with us, because now I'm in this position where I'm like, no, I'm actually excited to invest and outsource, because I have gone through this circus so many times with myself, and like, I can't do it to myself and my energy again. Like, we've this is not my first rodeo here, you know, where it's like, okay, woe is me, I'm not making enough. Let me go just like pick up a side job that's going to last 3 to 6 months because I'm convincing myself that I, you know, can't do it or something.
Yeah, and what's really cool about energetics is like it always comes down to, I always say, like whatever's more loving, right? So if it's more loving, like actually my job at the retail store was like amazing. And my boss was like a beautiful human who totally expanded me. Like, and yeah, I mean, not that it matters, like, you know, titles and accolades don't matter, but I'm like, I went to UCLA. Like, I'm like, you know, I'm like a smart person. She's like, you're picking up on this so easy. I'm like, yeah, because this is the easiest job in the world. But like that job really did enhance my energy. Actually, it was huge for me to be able to like get dressed, to go to work, because I'd been working from home for so long. I was like, oh my God, I get to look really pretty and talk to people. And it was an ad. It was out of love. But we always know when we're doing something out of fear. Like even I actually got fired from the restaurant, and I had a reading with a psychic, this like more well-known medium among celebrities. He's like one of those guys whose website was like made on like maybe 25 years ago, where it's like about Frank, book with Frank, like it's like so bare bones, and like but he books out like a year and a half advance, like, but I had forgotten I booked it, and he just was like, you were working at a restaurant, what the hell were you doing? I was like,
Oh
I don't
my
know, like that was out of fear. So as long as we know, like I think what a good energy to come with when we feel ourselves going into fear, which we will, no matter what, even if we weren't entrepreneurs, even if we had a full-time job, we still might be like, what if I get fired? Fear is just part of being a human being. So when we can like reel it in, come back to love, then we know, okay, the most loving thing for me to do, I would love to ask myself, I'm like, if we could just suspend fear. Like I told you in your session, let's go into a float tank. 15 minutes, no fear, no anything. What do I really want to do here? And that creates the love to be like, no, I want to outsource. I really believe in myself. And my energy is so valuable that I'm not going to spend 3 months doing something temporary when I could spend 3 months really putting my heart into my work, and that's going to pay dividends for, you know, years to come. So it sounds like you found your most loving choice.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm such a Cancer. I'm like over here, like literally tearing up. I'm like, Rebecca, get it together, bitch. But
I love you.
it's just, yeah, like I think everything that you say is just, it comes from such a nurturing place. And I remember the first time that I met you, I was like, ah, she's so like feminine and angelic and just like so soft. And you were like, really? Because I feel like I'm like this like fiery. And I'm like, really? Like, but obviously I can see both sides of you now. But
Yeah.
you always help remind me of the softness in things. And one of like the standouts from our session that we had was just me being able to dissolve this perception of myself of I'm not where I know I can be because I don't believe in myself enough. And through like having my session with you, and then I had an EFT tapping session the very next day, I realized I was like, bitch, it was never about the belief. Maybe it's just like, this is what you were supposed to go through. Like maybe this is just your soul journey. And like
Yeah.
talking about like becoming a mother and the fame and like maybe all of the career professional things that I've always really longed for, like those are set in stone, but maybe the way to getting there is with a partner and with your kids and all these things. And it helped me just like completely dissolve this perception that I've held of myself for so long of like, I don't believe in myself enough and I don't believe in my gifts and my talents enough to be making X amount of dollars a month or something. And it was just like, so it was life changing for me. I'm like, oh my God, I needed to hear this. It was so good.
Yeah, and I also think that when we're personal development like junkies, which we both are, we're often like, I just need to shift one belief and
Yep.
then I'm gonna get there. And it's
Then
like,
I'm good.
yeah, and then I'm gonna know that I am worthy of the dream life. But I think it's actually like, I'm glad you had that realization because there's so much more to it than that. And I really believe that, especially like what was most profound as the reading your soul was like, the soul is like such a full plate type of creator, right? So it's like we get so fixated on like this one thing, and like the soul wants us to feel whole, complete, loved, like, and it wants that for us. And when we're independent, which if you're an entrepreneur, you're independent, right? Especially if like you're a young, independent, hot woman who's like made it happen for herself, it's so easy to just be like, this is how I'm going to make everything else in my life happen. And I just think it's cool that you were able to be like, maybe it's not meant to happen that way because there is so much more to this plan than I could have ever imagined. And knowing that, like, we can't believe, like, it's not like we're going to shift our subconscious into being so healthy and whole that suddenly we're successful. It's almost like that perspective makes us think that we can outsmart God, and we can't, right? We can't outgrow God. God is everything. So knowing that, like, we want to work on our beliefs and work on our mindset and work, like, that we're never going to stop doing that. But I just think it's beautiful that you could almost like lay down that sword and be like, okay, that's done.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. So we're talking about Sean's new session. It's called her Essence session, which we will get into now. But she basically, like, we had one together, and I didn't really have any idea what I was coming into. And then right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? But just everything that you shared with me, it almost felt like I just was able to drop like 10 pounds of weight, because I didn't even realize like how hard I have been on myself for so long of like, Rebecca, you are the one that has to make it, like, just you. And through all of the information that you shared with me, you were like, listen, girlfriend, there are soul contracts that you need to fulfill. And that was really almost like, not scary, but almost like, oh shit, like, you're right. Because I think it's not something that is talked about enough. It's like we can sit here and say like, oh, I want to manifest this amount of money or this dream job or this travel. But it's like, there are things that need to be done that are a part of your story that you just can't outrun.
Totally. It's actually why I feel a little bit conflicted sometimes with the manifestation space, because I think it can get into like it's such a fine line, because I think it's Oprah who said like, or the quote that's like, I am the master of my fate and the captain of my soul. That is true. But there's a level of like, I felt this way so much. I actually am going through a huge initiation personally that kind of inspired the session, where I've had this vision for myself my whole life, and now I'm realizing that like that's not really the vision anymore. And I'm like, well shit, like it's like I could keep manifesting this thing, but it's clear that now my soul wants something else. And there's this beautiful dance of like, yeah, we are not in it alone. And this receptive relationship with our higher power can remind us that like, of course we're in the driver's seat, but like actually in my meditation, God will always be like, well, we're in this together. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I want it like this. God's like, but remember that we're like a team. And I'm like, no. And so it's like so easy for us to just like want to be the only one driving the car of our lives. It takes a tremendous amount of vulnerability, openness, surrender to be willing to say, I'm not the only one driving the car of my life now. And I'm okay with that. And so I'm really glad you were able to have that, because there are soul contracts, karma, things like written into our timelines that they're going to happen. That doesn't mean that we get apathetic and just lazy river through our lives. No. But we also can't pretend that we are articulating every moment of we're not. Right? We are not. So I think it's really cool that you could be like, let me soften, let me see that there's a plan, there's a partner, there's all these things that are really trying to make their way into my universe, and how can I just like make space for that, So I'm glad that you could have that realization.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it felt like a psychic session-esque. Like,
yeah, I am quite psychic.
Yeah. That's what you said, and I was like, this is giving psychic session, and I'm totally here for it. But I mean, at the beginning of the year, I really wanted to deepen my relationship with God, and I've always felt, not always felt, but I mean, I've worked on my relationship with God over the past 10 years, I will say. But since the beginning of this year and meeting with you, it has just allowed me to really view God as being like someone on my team, and not someone that I'm just like speaking into the void to, like, God, please help me out here. Like, I'm fucking struggling and I need to make money and all this. It's like, now when I talk to God, like and I always kind of switch up my practices that I need, but right now in my life, the two things that I need every day are movement and quiet time with God. And every morning and every night, I have learned what is best for me is to put myself in the most peaceful, calm position and just have this conversation with God. And it's like, God is talking to me. And of course, like throughout the whole span of my spiritual journey, I've had such incredible mind-blowing revelations to the point where like there are some nights where I've like cried myself to sleep so hard because I feel so connected to God. But this is like, it feels so different because it's so soft and it feels so like, yeah, like I'm there with you. Like I'm right here with you. And that's the session with you, just like, I don't know, helped me strengthen this connection so much. And again, it helped me release so much of this extra armor and baggage and realize like, okay, there are things that I want and that's a part of me and my story, but there are also things that you helped me connect to, were like being a mother and being a wife and all these things that I thought like, oh yeah, of course it's going to happen. But you were like, babe, it's going to happen now before all of the other things that you want.
Yeah,
And it helped me to really connect to like, oh shit, like when I was younger, all that I was obsessed with was couples. Like all day, every day, I'd be like, you know, sharing the cutest couples on Tumblr. And I was like obsessed with love. And
So
before I knew that I wanted to be, you know, like the Jay Shetty and like this big ass bitch in the self-development space, which I'm so grateful that I know that I see my gifts, right? I see my gifts, but at the same time, like being in this space with you, this session helped me connect to like younger Rebecca,
Oh, I love
you
that.
know? And like
Yeah.
it's also helped me to see like they're all one, right? Like I think sometimes we compartmentalize who we are. It's like younger self, our self in college. I'm like, no, like it's all me. Like I'm still the Rebecca that wants fame and wants to be well known and write these books and be on tour, but I also am the Rebecca that wants like the deepest, purest love and wants to have kids, and like I just want it all, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I'm obsessed with like inner child stuff because I think that kids are amazing and like our little kids are just so cute and special. So I'm glad it was that reminder because, yeah, like we just sometimes forget even like who we are at our core because we've built up such a strong identity. Like I would say both of us are people who like we really have like strong but like intentional identities. But then there are always these like parts of ourselves, like our inner children, like, you know, our essential nature that can kind of be like, it's like we've put so much time and energy and effort and intent into cultivating these people in the world that we really enjoy being. But then there's always just like that part of self that like, you know, we just can't forget, you know, like even like my essence, like loves, it's actually so me and my essence that I do my makeup, like my essence like loves beauty and like loves getting my nails done. And like as a kid I wanted to be a nail person. Like I wanted to do people's nails. It was like my
Stop.
joy. Yes. I was like, gonna do your nails. And it's like, you know, the person I am now kind of wants to forget that and be like, all right, well we got shit to do, right? Like you can put on that entrepreneur persona like we started the call with, where it's like, and yeah, it's beautiful when we can, it's why it feels so good to remember that. Like even you saying like, oh man, like I forgot how much like I really do want that and I've always wanted that. And like I think that's what's so cool about the wisdom of the soul. It's like, yeah, that little Rebecca who was like vision boarding couples, like she just knew all along, you know? It's so beautiful.
Yeah. So can you walk us through your process? Like, obviously you don't need to tell us everything, but like, what can someone expect? Because to me, like I said, it did feel like a psychic session. I mean, I've only met with one other psychic who, you know, Rachel. I've never met with, I guess, like a traditional medium or a
Yeah.
psychic, but just you explaining how this all came to be, because like halfway through our session I'm like, Sean, like where are you getting all this from? And you're like, okay, and then you like told me the whole process. So I would love for everyone to hear, because I mean, I know you on a personal level and I'm just like, this is your calling. Like it's I believe every single thing that you said, which I don't need to, but I just do. Like after that call I was like, okay, so now we need to go back in and change our vision board and kind of sit with ourselves here and reevaluate our life. So that's amazing. Great. Cool.
Yep, you're like back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Yeah, so it is an intuitive session, a psychic session. I'm going to kind of use both interchangeably. And so, you know, you had the grace to let me practice on you. And you were like, okay, well, let's just call it what it is. And I was like,
Yep.
la da da. But yes, you're correct. We're going to, I'm writing that is an intuitive session. I would say like, what I have experienced as the practitioner is like I will not always get like a really strong prediction. It will very much depend on like the energetics of the client, where they're at. And so I actually feel like my intuition is my talent, but I actually pushed it off for a long time because I never, like when I first started to kind of do just like, I called them clairvoyance because I see a lot, but I have a lot going, I'm like claircognizant. There's a lot of stuff happening. And I really didn't like those sessions because it was like so, how do I describe this? Like it almost felt like my talent was being manipulated to like feel like people could just like hear what they wanted to hear. And so that's why as an intuitive, like I'm not going to ever have a session where it's like, well, just fire your questions at me, because it will be like, just questions that are like truly created from like consciousness of like nothing, right? Like they're not even the questions that people really need answered, which like sounds maybe a little bit presumptuous, but I needed to create a session where it was like, I am the talent, right? So I kind of know what you need, and don't pretend like you know what you need, which like I had to really put my foot down with like how I was going to create it. So, what I do before the session is I'm going to meditate on your energy. So I do a lot of different things. Like I can read the Akashic records. I can read energy chakras. I can also tap into past loved ones. Like I can kind of do a lot pending whatever the soul needs. But what I'm really doing in the essence session is I'm meditating on your energy body, and I'm understanding like what it is that's happening for you energetically as a soul right now, and where it is that your soul wants to go. So that's what helps me get predictions, because let's say like, in your case, your soul's here. The moment I got into your energy, I was like, well, shit, her soul wants to go there. So what I want the session to do is help you understand, like, where does your soul want to go? And how can you really get it there and elevate it there? And I would want everybody to finish this session and just have a deeper understanding of like who they are and like and where they're going in life. Because I think we can oftentimes lose sight of that because we're caught up in our day-to-day. We're caught up in like even what we think we want, and then we sit down and we're like, wait, why am I tired? Or feel like I'm beating my head against the wall all the time. And then I just love this session because it's like I can meditate on your energy, and it's so clear to me like, okay, this is where she's at energetically. This is where her soul wants to go. How can we get her there? I commune with the soul. So it's actually what I like the most is the soul can tell me like, hey, Rebecca really needs this. And I'll be like, great. It's almost like I'm your soul's like representative for 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, hear the soul out. This is what she needs. Here's why. Here's where she wants to go. And so, yes, this really all happens in meditation. So I'm going to meditate on your energy prior to the session. And then I will have a lot come up in the session. And I actually have done, I'm going to do the sessions, I think, with camera on, because I like to be able to see my clients. I like them to see me. And I will pick up on stuff when I'm like in your field, but a lot of that comes up in meditation prior, from me reading your energy and then meeting with your soul.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a soul reader, babe. No big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it so much. I mean, beyond just my love for you as like a person and a human being, like, again, I had no idea what I was coming into, which I loved so much. And I will say, like, I think anytime that you meet with any type of practitioner, healer, teacher, like you just got to be open. I'm so grateful for my open ajna and my open crown. I'm like, just hit me with what you need to tell me, and then I'll take a step back afterwards and sit with myself and ask myself, do I want to move forward with this or not? But like every single thing that you said, I mean, we started off with me sharing with what was happening in my life, and then you were like, I could feel your energy, and you were like, okay, that's great and all, but like, this is what I need to tell you. And it was so different.
Thanks for the updates. Not what came up at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, it truly felt like what I loved about it was you are giving someone almost like the bridge. It's like, this is where you're at right now. And this is where we need you to go. Like what I loved that you said to me was like, this is not in your crown. Like, you're focusing so much on the work, and that's not to say that you shouldn't focus at all on your work, like your work is your baby and that's your life, but like this needs to be in the vision and it's not. And like because of that, like throughout the past month, I have been focusing so much on partnership and motherhood. And like Sean, the other day I sat in meditation and I was bawling thinking about my friends that are pregnant, thinking about me being a mom, because I'm like, I'm actively doing the work now. Like, and it wasn't just like, here are my predictions.
Your
It was
babies are like, thank God, mom's on board.
yeah, it was like, here are the predictions, but also this is what we need to do to get you there, which I really appreciate because I think too many practitioners are just like throwing information at you. Like, my favorite sessions are with practitioners that say, here's the info, now what the fuck are we going to do about it? Because, like, it all comes down to the action.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my greatest, in my opinion, value adds as a healer is like, I don't have an air sign in my chart, y'all. I'm a Taurus. I got a Taurus Mercury. Like, I am like a practical person.
Yeah.
And I think that, I feel super turned off by like very kind of like metaphysical with no tangible. Because we have to know we are the captains of our fate and the masters of our souls. So there are things for us to do in order to kind of like meet our destiny. There are different phases of life, right? Sometimes there's more of like there's more action. Sometimes there's more energetic adjustment. Like it's going to vary. But I think that's what I really want to be able to like give to people, because we can't be naive and think that we are going to just, I mean, it's hard to, like, we will manifest our destinies, absolutely, but, like, we also have to know that there are things that we can do to really, like, meet God halfway, right? That might be as simple as, like, I'm going to open my heart. Like, I like how you said that, like, being energetic openly and knowing when to be is, like, such a game changer. Like, for me as a practitioner, if you are a fortress, it doesn't matter what I tell you, right?
Right.
It's not going to land. And I've been that way too, because I'm such a strong-willed, stubborn-ass person that sometimes I'm like, well, it's just exactly how I want it to be. And that is why spirituality has been such a beautiful journey for me, is it has really made me such an open person. My heart's so open. My thoughts are so open in a good way. And I'm just glad that you came in being like, okay, I'm open enough to receive this medicine. And now I'm ready to like meet the universe halfway in the way that I actually want to. And look how much things are flowing, way more.
Oh my God. I cannot wait for my next session with you. I'm literally sitting here. I'm like, so how's my progress? Like, what's my soul? How's she doing?
I'm going to be like, well, no, she's like, watch, she joins the session like with her boyfriend.
Oh
hey.
My God.
I'll be like,
I mean, I think so. Why this session and why you resonate with me so deeply, and especially this year, is because like personally I have done so much of my own healing, right? But I've had these sessions out of fear. I've had these sessions like you told me, like, what the fuck is going on with my life? Insert psychic session. It's like, we never want to do that. Like with your session, with this EFT tapping session that I had, and like in tandem, it was just like the biggest mind fuck for me in the best way. But it's because I was just so open and ready to receive. And I think if we go into anything, just like drop our defenses, drop the armor, and we're like, hey, this doesn't need to be the thing that changes my life. But for me, it's always the thing that is. If I go in with an open heart, like this session, I'm like, oh shit. Like before I knew that I was ready for a boyfriend and my dog and all this, but because of meeting with you, I'm like, oh fuck, it's coming in hot. Like it is coming in way quicker than I thought. And maybe it wouldn't have come in, or maybe it wouldn't be coming in as quickly if I hadn't have met with you. And it's because I'm doing the work around it now. Like every day I'm connecting to my partner, my husband, me as a mom, like, and I'm actively putting in the work.
Yeah, and it's really good to know too, but that work is coming from like a loving energy. And I think it's cool that we could talk about like, and we're all gonna get into fear, and I totally understand, like it is a very evolved spiritual perspective to be able to be in the unknown, like, fuck it, let's ride it, let's not be afraid, like that. It takes a lot of practice. And so, we've both been in that place where we're like terrified for our lives booking psychics, for sure. But what I think is really cool too is like now you can come at that work from this loving energy of like, okay, let's get into this vibe because this is like what's true for us right now. And it's just it's so light, you know, versus, you know, when we're in the energy of like, which it's so easy to get in that energy in business where it's like, make it happen, right? And that is like what we're preached. Like if any male business teacher, no offense to y'all, it's that energy of like, let's, you know, and I can hear it in your voice that you're doing that work from this energy of like, let me connect because this is where God wants me to be right now. But like, don't you feel how light that is?
Oh my God, yeah, like in the session, yes, but especially afterwards, there's this new like lightness to my body. And it's because I no longer, it's not like all on me. Like again, your session really helped me to open up to like, okay, Rebecca, it's okay that you want these things, but maybe there are other things that are meant to be a part of your story. And
Yes.
and that's okay too, because at the end of the day, I think what this all comes back to is like God knows best. And if I would have had this session maybe like 3 years ago, I would have been like, no, I know what I want. I know what's best for me. But now being in such a different position, I'm like, listen, God, I'm just following you. You're the leader here.
Course in Miracles, baby, I do not perceive my own best interests. I always quote that passage. It's like in any given situation, I do not perceive my own best interests. And I think about that so much because I'm like, yeah, we don't know what's best for us a lot of the time. We just think we do. And so
Yeah.
let's actually like give the universe an opportunity to be like we talk about with this work, what? I would never be doing this. I would be like, this is madness.
Yeah.
But I just was like willing to give God so much space in my life that I was like, great, you know, do your thing, you take over. Of course, with me taking action. But yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful place to be in when you feel like you're not going it alone because you're not. You are not. There's a higher plan. There's so much divine support, and I'm just really happy to know that you feel that now.
Totally. It feels like I'm adding. It doesn't feel like I'm taking away. And I think what has scared me in the past, I mean, I told you that I met with Rachel, who you've met with as well,
Yeah.
back in July, and she basically told me similar things, but in a different manner. She was like, I see you with like the kids and the partner. And she said, you are about to enter the deepest healing session of your life. And on the other side of that, you are going to come out a different person. And I was like, fuck no. Like, I have spent so long,
Not doing
again,
it.
consciously, intentionally creating the Rebecca who I am, which I love and adore. But now because I literally went through the deepest healing season of my life, I'm now on the other side of it. And I'm like, I am very open to becoming that different person, but that doesn't mean that I'm leaving this person behind. Like, I'm still me,
Yeah.
but it's
Mhm.
just shifting because I'm
Mhm.
allowing this greater force that is so much bigger than me to come in and help me and say like, "Hey babe, you want some help in your business so you can go date? Okay, I'm going to give that to you." And I'm like, "Oh, really? You're going to help me and like support me and I don't have to do this all on my own?" Like it feels so light. It also just feels like truly so divinely feminine. Like I've never felt that in my life until now.
Yeah, and I think that the new paradigm, my prediction is that a lot of what we're going to be moving into is going to actually feel like too good to be true. And that, like,
Mm,
we've created, you know, so much abundance on the earth, and we are recognizing how much abundance the earth has. And I really think that, like, you know, the divine feminine, of course, like, we have to ride both polarities as business owners. We have to know we have to be in our masculine sometimes, we have to be in our feminine. But really, that divine feminine feeling is like, I mean, it just is the way that we are meant to function in the world as women. Like, it
yeah,
is. And that is how you attract the right man. It's really hard to attract the right man if you are operating in your masculine because that man can't, there's no space for him, right? This doesn't mean we're damsels in distress, y'all, and you know what I mean. It just means that, like, you're soft, and then that allows the right type of man to really, like, come into your sphere. So I'm so happy that you feel that support because, like, you're really meant to feel that way. You're meant to feel like everybody has your back. It doesn't mean that shit won't hit the fan, but you'll know that even when it does, like, people have your back.
totally. And just like you are still yourself and you're still allowed to have your deepest desires and manifestations. But at the end of the day, it's like we're all on the same team here. Your soul is on the same team as your heart and your ego. It's like we're all here to support you. I know for myself, I have felt very divided in the past. Like I'm fighting myself, or it's like me against the world, me against God. And now I'm like, nope, we're all here working together. We're all a team here.
Yeah, it's funny. I just started to reread this book called Sacred Success. I don't know if you've read it.
Mm-mm.
It is about a woman who it's basically about like bringing God into your finances. And there's this part of the Course in Miracles where she's like, she felt like she had been abandoned by God. And then she's like, I remember this passage in the Course where it's like, anytime I feel like God abandoned my plan, I know that I actually abandoned his. And it's like her realization that like God is always on our team. Like there are no exceptions, right? And it's like, it's so hard to believe that when we're in moments of like, well, I wanted the cookie and I didn't get it, right? It's like, you left me, and I've had to do so much work around this because my dad did pass away and he was my God complex really my whole life. And so I felt abandoned by him. I've had to do like so much healing, but we really have to flip that perspective and be like, we are not on different teams. We are not. And even if I can't see how on earth we're playing for the same team, I believe that I can shift my perception, that the divine will shift my perception so I can see how we really are. So I'm just really grateful that you had that and you can feel like you guys are just all team players hanging out.
Yeah, it's so fun now. It's like it's a completely different feeling than I've ever had before. I mean, I think everything is just so synchronistic and the way, this has been for me at least, it's been a long time coming. It's not just like, okay, I just started my business yesterday and this is all happening for me. It's like it's coming at the right time.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, I could talk about this with you for hours and hours, but I think that we should pause it here. I want everyone to go check out this session, listen to your podcast episodes. I think it's because I am a creator. I don't gravitate towards a lot of podcasts, but I have been truly obsessed with your podcast. Like,
Oh, thank you.
Sean, it's so good. It's so good.
It actually I make myself laugh, which I'm like, that's so egotistical, but I'll like listen to the episodes and I'll be like, woof, I'm funny. I'm like,
literally me all the time. I'm like, if you can't laugh at yourself in the best way, like that's when you know that you're good. I think.
So that's totally, yeah, but I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, this has been so fun. It just is always beautiful to chat with you. And yeah, just grateful to be here.
Anything like last words you'd like to share? Of course, I will include all of your info in the show notes, about the session, more information about you, but anything that you want to leave the listeners with?
I would say, well, my info will be in the notes. So I would say you can read about the session on my website and you can find me on Instagram. The podcast too, will we link that as well? The Let's Be Soulful?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Then I would just say, open your hearts, you guys. Open your hearts, follow your hearts, and you can never get anything wrong. And I mean that so sincerely.
I am so excited for you all to have a session with her. It changed my life. Again, every time I'm with you, you just change my life. And I never know what's coming, which is the best.
That's the best, man. We should always be...
So fun.
We should always be a bit surprised. I think that means that, we're open, and B, we're working with the right people. I believe that.
Totally. Well, thank you so much for being on the Joyride podcast. I'm sure you will be back. But to all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. I so appreciate you. I will include all of her information down below, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.